Good morning, guys. Coach Theo here on Common Sense. Monday morning, post-midsummer in my beautiful little area, which means that all the school kids and university students are away on summer break. Other people are away on summer vacation, so it's always very nice and quiet from around this time of the year. Still, it's quite sad though. It's like I get these beautiful mornings to myself. It's not even that late now. It's like 7. But for hours and hours, there's just no one to be seen. You know, guys, this is not all mine, these mornings. I'm just the only one to claim them. I kind of call this my kingdom. I feel like the king here. Like, where is everyone else, you know? So today, I want to take you through my entire physical transformation and journey into fitness, which of course started because of mental health reasons. But in this video, we won't be focusing so much on the mental health stuff and talk purely about the fitness stuff. So training and diet mainly. And this is because I get a lot of questions from you guys lately about like, how did you start, you know? What did you do at this stage of your transformation and such? So I figured let's talk through the entire story, talk about points that come up along the way, and I'll talk about the different like eras, you know, different things I was trying at the time, maybe little things I would have done differently, and whatever comes to mind as we go. So it's July 2018. I've just come out on the other side of months with panic attack syndrome, daily panic attacks that were so brutal. I thought I would end up killing myself or live my life as a medicated zombie. But I had finally come out on the other side where still wasn't in good shape, felt very burnt out, you know, but hopeful. New excitement and joy and hope found for life because these panic attacks had actually stopped. And so I decided that I'm gonna take this second chance I've been given and do everything in my power to ensure that that does never happen again. And so, you know, I've heard that, well, training and what you eat, it actually affects the way you feel, not just on the physical side of things, but mental as well. So I'm like, okay, let's give this a go then. Just like anyone, I'm overwhelmed thinking about what I should be doing. You know, I try to look for approaches where I have to think as little as possible. Like I'm like, does swimming build muscle? You know, can I just go swim and not think about it? Look into all these things. I'm completely overwhelmed. But then I just decide that, you know, I have a pull-up bar. I followed for a few months before a pull-up progression scheme. So I'll start there. I'll go on a bit more walks, and I do like just obvious improvements to my diet. You know, I had some junk food addictions, but I was also kind of person that if I just decided that I'm gonna do things better, I'm gonna do a permanent change instantly and then struggle at times. But so what I basically started eating what I thought was like a decent diet, you know. So it was like chicken, rice, broccoli style, which is not bad, but it's not the most nutrient dense you could get, you know. But a clear upgrade from all the junk food I would eat most of the time. Then I did these negative pull-ups every other day. According to the progression scheme. Yeah, I could do like 2 or 3 pull-ups, but I figured the progression scheme told me to do negatives. So I started with that because I could just do 2 or 3 regular ones. And I'm going on a bit more walks, you know. After 2 weeks, it's just undeniable that I'm feeling better, and I knew this was the way to go. And from this point, I just start adding stuff into the training, you know, like I add push-ups into the pull-ups. I can't recall all the exercises now, but I remember I had pretty much like a workout A and B. You know, some pull-ups, push-ups, maybe some curls, some isolated shoulder stuff. I remember doing Bulgarian split squats for my legs. And in the meantime here, I'm studying fitness online a lot. And this is what I always say, guys, that the internet is a blessing and a curse. If you want to learn about something that you haven't, that you're getting into, there is a ton of free information available to you. But of course, you can get stuck in that paralysis by analysis when you just watch stuff. You get a fake dopamine kick from feeling as if you're taking action towards your goals. But at least beyond a certain point, watching more videos is not taking action. And of course, filling your head with ideas before you try them out, you're going to be so confused, not know what to do. So that's what I did right? That I was looking at all this stuff while I was actually taking action all the time too. And this, guys, I'll just say this, just like in my book, I've always tried to not only talk about this, are the exercises are good, this is how often you should train or hard you should train, but actually talk about what will the process look like. So even people I coach, I tell them, like, go on YouTube and watch stuff, but just don't make that all you do. have a reasonable balance between education and application, right? But so about 2 months into this, well, I've been sort of bulking, because I don't know. I started to strength train, and I've just heard that you're supposed to eat a lot, but I was skinny fat, and I started realizing that I probably should lose some fat. And so once earlier in my life, when some friends had made fun of me for gaining weight in a relationship, I had gone on a keto diet and then just walked the whole ton because Pokemon Go was new. So that was my go-to idea for cutting weight. Let's do a keto diet, right? So I started doing that, lose weight, and at some point it stalled. So I started counting calories as well. And yeah, I'm eating stuff like hamburger patties with like vegetables, And so I lose a lot of weight, and I'm here stuck kind of in that I want to get ripped, but I also want to build more muscle, So I keep decreasing the calories, but I came to a point where I couldn't make progress anymore with my training because I've restricted the calories too much. And I just have too low metabolism overall. This is something I've learned since then. It's much easier to get leaner. The more muscle mass you have, the easier it is. Like, I was less lean then than I am now. It would still be easier for me to cut now because I'm just a machine that runs on higher fuel now, right? But so I keep doing this for like 4 months. I started, like I said, late July. And so in December, I've decided, I'm getting prepared to go to the gym. I should mention too, there is a little gym in my old building that has now improved, but they had like one 5-kilo barbell with like 3 or 4 5s. And I could have 40 or 50 kilos in total on this. And I would like explosively high pull this up, put it on a radiator so I could get it behind and get it to drop down on my neck like that. Now I could of course easily shoulder press that weight onto my back. But also for a deadlift, I remember there was a kettlebell. I would put the bar through the kettlebell and put the weights on the side. So the first like couple of decimeters were lighter, and then this 20-kilo kettlebell would attach. So I had like a 60-kilo deadlift I could do there. But yeah, so at the end of the year, I start going to the gym. And at that point, I fully prepared my program. I know exactly what workouts and exercises I want to try when I have access to a gym, and I start following a sort of push-pull leg split. It's just that I don't go, do each workout twice per week, 6 times per week. I was cycling through push-pull legs, and I was training like 4 times per week. And so yeah, first it's just that when you've been cutting and got it down like that, I remember I kept eating keto for some reason, and then I just decided, okay, well, let's be happy with this level of leanness and start bulking, and I'll cut for the summer again. It was kind of funny when I started eating more again and carbs, especially being a newbie. I just remember how much I could notice on the next workout. Of course, I was making progress every workout anyway, but it was like ridiculous. It was like instantly, okay, I move up 1 dumbbell set. Okay, we add a 5 to each side of the barbell, So at this stage, if I just stop to say a little bit what I would have done differently, is of course, I wouldn't have bulked when I'm skinny fat. There's just no reason, my body, my muscles haven't been stimulated. Just give them some stimulation and protein and they're going to grow. And I have excess of body fat. I can easily make up missing calories in a deficit from my own body fat. I could have recomped, So going back, because now it's like I tried to recomp when I had already lost some weight, it was why I was stuck for a couple of months, where I'm basically maybe losing just a little bit of more weight, but barely gaining any strength, right? So I would have started out recomping until that stalled, instead of like starting it when it almost stalls from the beginning, right? And then when either weight loss or strength gain stalled, I would have decided, should I now bulk, put on muscle, or should I cut down lower? But so I bulk here. And I started throughout this year in 2019, I gradually upped the frequency. So because after a few months, I am doing push-pull legs twice of each per week, and it's just going great, And at this time, I was eating like a, because I didn't know, the more mainstream bodybuilder, like 6 times per day. It's like I'm eating 3 meals and like 3 protein shakes, which is completely unnecessary, of course. But it's just, I didn't know better then. I remember I was exploring, finding out about good food. I was still a little afraid of red meat back then, because they said, so I didn't even know why, I've just heard it a lot, I remember eating this granola with all these added synthetic fibers that completely destroyed my gut. I remember like every evening it would be wrecked and I wouldn't know why, but then I figured it out. But so, we come to the summer, and so I cut again on like 6 meals per day, ridiculous stuff. And I think I even tried like 16-8 intermittent fasting, like shoehorning in 6 meals into 8 hours, you know, just that I'm eating less. This time around, I could actually get down lower, you know. I could get down to the level of leanness I wanted, probably around where I am at now, just way less muscle, right? And what was it? I was thinking about something I should say. Oh yeah, I should say, just to talk a bit about my experience, you know, like it was not until like a year in that I actually liked the training process. Like I was very hungry for the gains. I was very much appreciating how much better I was feeling and looking and everything, you know, but I still dreaded the workouts. And exorphobia, as you say. When it's time for a set, I would find reasons to put it off until I don't really feel like doing it, you know. Also with food, like I said, it was never my biggest vice, but I would be tempted. And I would do things like when I had a big sugar itch, I would just change my dinner for like a couple of protein bars, you know. So I'm like on point with the calories, but got to experience some nicer tastes there, you know. And then I just remember once when someone had their birthday and I went out, I wasn't gonna eat any crap. Then they ordered a bunch of desserts and they didn't finish them. And when there was like cheesecake and brownies on the table, I just had to eat. But I was good on point, but I did stuff like that a few times. And so when I'd cut there and I was happy, you know, this was, so here I had better discipline with diet, but it was still, it took a lot of willpower. So here when I'm like a year into the process, that's when when I'm in the store, I see all this candy and stuff. I'm like, really? I'm never gonna eat this again. And towards the end of the summer here, coincidentally, from the same day I started my voluntary celibacy, which is almost 5 years ago now, I started my first fast. I had heard about fasting. I was curious about everything fitness and health, you know, it was new to me. I decided to do a 5-day fast. It was also during this first fast that I found the Snake Diet Cole. Watched a lot of his videos and I felt like doing it more. This is probably around the time too when I start seeing more like carnivore content and stuff. And while I never thought that full-on carnivore seems like a permanent solution, it became obvious to me that, okay, the red meat has gotten a bad rap for no reason, you know, it's actually superfood. And I started eating a lot more eggs and red meat, right? But then I started, after my first 5-day fast, it wasn't planned, but I started experimenting with all these fasts. And I thought, you know, that I found, because it's always the dilemma that the further you get into the process and have done these cycles of bulking and cutting, and you just realize that that's what it has to be like. You know, when you're bulking, you're gonna have to look a little softer, not your sharpest aesthetic shape, in order to put on muscle and strength, so you can cut down and be even more aesthetic later. Just as when you cut, your strength gains might stall or even regress on some major lifts. You know, the more times you just know, I've gone through this, it worked out, I came out on the other side better again, the less you care about it. But especially earlier on, you know, when you've gotten leaner than you ever had, you feel like, I don't really want to bulk. And also when you put on muscle, you're afraid of losing it. Like especially with fasting, when it's new, right? You don't lose muscle from fasting, by the way, you just don't. If you eat protein and train when you're not fasting. But the point is that often when you're like a beginner-ish that had decent results, you know, but it's often like, I want to get really shredded, but I also want to put on muscle. You want to have the cake and eat it too. You can't be patient and trust the longevity of the process, like I talked about. So I thought with fasting that now I found the magic solution to how I can like bulk, eat in a calorie surplus to put on weight, and then just fast and cut off the excess fat, right? So I experimented during this time with many things. Like I did 48-hour fast, 3 in a row, just eating, like I have 1 hour to eat in between. I did alternate day fasting for a week. I did my first dry dopamine fast, still the most insane one I ever did. There are old videos, me when I do that. And yeah, I tried OMAD, just eating once in the morning for a month. I tried many things. So the routines I tried to come up with in order to be able to like bulk and lose the fat immediately was that, for instance, I tried doing one weekly 48-hour fast. So I would eat like 500 calories above my maintenance and then do this fast at the end of the week. So what I noticed after some months of trying this was that I could get stronger on compounds because, you know, muscle mass, having more muscle mass will help with strength, but it's not all there is to it. It's skill, it's efficiency in the movement, it's technique, right? So I noticed I could get stronger and stay quite lean, but the muscle gains just, frankly, they stalled. And so when because what what happens to a lot of people when they find a snake diet and fasting, especially the older stuff, is it's kind of brainwashed into thinking that basically everyone should eat as seldomly as possible. The less often you eat, the better. And while some people have way too high eating frequency and stuff, it's not that black and white, and it depends on the individual. A fit individual that eats overwhelmingly healthy whole foods, it's not like it's bad for them to eat like 4 times per day, you know. But that was kind of how I was thinking of it at the time. So apart from doing these fasting routines, I also did like a warrior diet. You know, I would often eat like once and go train and then eat again. So maybe it was all in like a 3-hour eating window in total. But so in the early 2020, now I've had like half a year of getting stronger and learning, mastering fasting more, but my muscle gains have been stalling a bit for a while. So then I decided to actually embrace the bulk again a bit, like still doing 16/8 intermittent fasting, but eat in a calorie surplus. Ate very similarly to now. I just had my protein yogurt in the morning, and then I think I would just eat like rice and beef patties like twice per day, you know. But it was obvious here when I started eating on a daily basis, skipping the longer fast altogether and eating in a calorie surplus. It was just undeniable that I started blowing up muscularly again. So I was bulking there until the summer when I did the most aggressive cut I ever have. I think I started with a 72-hour fast, and then I ate on a day, and then I did a 60-hour fast, and I ate, and then I think I did a 48-hour fast. And I think after this I had lost like 5 kilos of fat in like a little over a week that it made up in total, you know. And then I kept cutting a bit more with long fast. Since then, like a one-off thing, experiment like that, it was fun, but it's just like I just don't recommend. Like most people won't be able to go through with something like that. It's like something when you have content to make of it and all of that, it's like you have a much more higher motivation because it's such an extreme thing. Most people would do well, including myself most of the time, just be a bit less aggressive. Like that first fast, great, but maybe chill a bit before the next one and that. But yeah, I you know, my 2-year shape is kind of what I hold as a standard that I think that, I hope I edit this video, but my 2-year shape is like what I think every man could be in. Like I'm definitely as lean as I was now, just smaller, you know, but like I describe it, you know, abs, some veins, shoulder vein, bicep vein, some muscle striations going, you know, muscle on the entire frame. You look great then as well, right? But yeah, after having cut, doing whatever I did during the summer, go bulking again in the winter. And I remember I bulked harder this time. Wanted to try it, you know. And during this time I had a very tough time in my life actually. So I remember just recovering so poorly from workouts. Still, the workouts was the one time I was feeling good at that time. I remember I was just bulking, and I was fluffier than I had been in a while. So I didn't quite know what was going on. But then when I cut at the start of the next year, oh yeah, that's when I actually tried this. So the routine I've now come up with my like food addiction reversal protocol, the weekly 60-hour fast. I did that, I did it every other week because I wanted to take it a bit slower, try to hold on to more of my strength. And so yeah, I cut that way. I think I hammered in, like I call a hammer fast, one longer fast of like 5 days. Apart from that, I did 4 or 5 60-hour fasts. And then I came out on the other side and I noticed that, oh yeah, I did definitely, the bulk definitely worked. And so this is when I, with a friend, started working on mobility. Because I could tell throughout these years, you know, aesthetics was a goal for me. Because it was like, I started for health reasons. then I noticed that when I did it for health reasons, I felt and looked better, like the way I always wanted to look when I was younger. So, you know, aesthetics was a secondary goal, but the one that I really enjoy. But strength and aesthetics was what I was thinking about, but not at any price. I wanted to be healthy. It was just lack of knowledge that the way I had been training, it made me look good and feel good. I have good energy, health metrics like that, but I was just a lot more stiff. I felt than I felt I needed to be. Like often very stiff in the morning and needing more time to warm up and stuff. So I started working with my friend who's a mobility coach and actually focused. Like I dialed back the strength stuff to like an upper body workout. I would do like 3 sets of pull-ups and dips weighted, and then I would go mobility stuff, you know. So 3 months with him, and I've continued focusing a bit on mobility after that. It greatly improved my mobility and the way my body feels since then. And so what I've done since then is that, of course, I'll do a little mobility session here and there, but I've also just adjusted my training, you know. I had already started to pick up on the fact that the stretched portion of an exercise is very important for hypertrophy, building muscle. So it's one of those things, there's no shortcuts in the fitness, guys, but when you know what you're doing, there are some optimizations that can seem almost too good to be true. Like emphasizing the stretched position in an exercise is not only, you know, it would make you more mobile because you're stretching out your muscle there, but it's actually very beneficial for hypertrophy too. So this just kind of you know, going through this mobility period, just kind of even faster. I had some exercises I was thinking about emphasizing the stretch, but now it influenced the entire way. Like I started doing dumbbell presses super deep and dips way deep and dead hang chin-ups as to grass squats, right? And so from this point, there's really, you know, I've learned since then and improved, of course, but it's more on a micro scale, you know, finding my connection to exercises and routines and stuff even better. And I'll say that after 4 years, the amount of muscle mass I had 2 years ago compared to now, it's 1 month away from 6 years. It's not that much more. Like the majority of the muscle, like even 3 years, but there is a significant change between the 3rd and 4th year. But since then, it's these little micro increments of gains. I think probably now, like my legs are a little bit special situation. I didn't want to talk about it too much in this video. It's just that the legs has been the only body part where I've actually lost a little bit of muscle sometimes because of hip injuries, and I just can't go balls to the wall with it. Now I think though that they probably are at the size they've been at their biggest, and I would estimate that at the same level of leanness 2 years ago, I probably weighed like 3 kilos, maybe a bit more than that, less. Right? So, but that's what you gotta, I talked about that recently, guys. We talk about the paper roll effect for cutting. You know, a fresh paper roll, toilet paper roll. If you take one layer away, you won't see anything. Just like a 150 kilo person, if they lose a few kilos, you won't see anything. However, when you start getting down to like 15% body fat, now every little kilo is gonna show a lot more, right? Revealing more and more detail per kilo loss. The same thing goes for muscle gain. It's not that much muscle I've gained the last 2 years, but on top of what is really a great physique already, every little, just making if the shoulder is round and all that, if it's a little bigger, you know, you look even sicker and that, right? So these, the last 2 years or 3 years, you know, I told most about the first 3. It's really just been about finding exercises I like better. You know, even that's what I'll say, something that's more like, not concrete, but with everything I've done, dieting, fasting, training, I've always thought, like, yeah, I'm doing great. Not like I'm done learning, but I'm feeling the best I can about it all. But a thing like squats, it took me like 3 years to even enjoy squats. I always hated it, and it's still tough, you know. But it's like, even when you're like full on this, you don't miss workouts, you do a job every time. Do that for another year, and it's even more bulletproof the next year, and even more bulletproof the next year. That's what I feel has improved with me since that year. Like, it's so rare that I have days that I just don't feel like training or something, you know. I just love it. And even just the experience during. It's crazy, guys, how much you adapt. Some exercises, they are just not that tough for me to push like way beyond failure. It's just kind of like press, start, do the set sequence, you know. End sequence. It's like, you just take the set to failure and beyond. Okay, go. Yeah. Let me just think a little bit. Now, you know, I was thinking as I was talking that I wanted to talk about things I would have done differently and stuff. But that's the thing, guys. If you read my book, all the important major principles in the book, what I did right is that I got the major principles right about, I got to be consistent. I can't just take random breaks. This is part of my lifestyle now. And I got to train at a high intensity. I have to push it as much as I can. I got to do progressive overload, I got to make sure I have a goal of trying to do more, because why else would my body adapt? And then I just learned a lot more about technique and all fine-tuning all of this. Right? But so the major things I would have done differently is that I would just not have started bulking when I'm skinny fat. I would have gone a bit below my maintenance to recomp before deciding if I bulk or cut. I would not have done this 6 meals per day bullshit, with a bunch of protein shakes. I would have understood sooner that maybe fasting, doing it too frequently, it's not like you can just eat in a surplus on one day, just press the anabolic button and just fast the next day and be catabolic. Maybe you have to be in a calorie surplus for a longer amount of time. What I found, by the way, since then is that if you go like 2 to 3 weeks before you fast, of course you still gain strength and muscle slower doing this fast all the time. But that's what I noticed, that you can actually keep making progress and cut off the baby fat that you gain that way. But I just think it's more preferable most of the time to just embrace either that you're doing, right? I think of things, I was doing push-ups at home and I started being able to do so many, like up to 50. I know that going beyond like 20 most of the time, but okay, maybe even 30 on some exercises, but beyond 30, definitely we're not building muscle anymore. It's some kind of endurance. So I would have found a way to challenge the push-up more, like either just put some weight on me somehow or elevate my hands. That would be even better, because the push-up is great. The biggest issue is that the floor is in the way. You could get a bigger stretch, like we talked about, on the pecs, if you could get deeper. So if you can elevate your hands and so that you can go as deep as possible, suddenly the exercise is like more than twice as hard, much more effective for building muscle. So I would have done that, for instance, But really, guys, I got all the major principles right from the start, and that's important. That's what I tried to make you guys understand. Like, what should I start with? Well, mainly you should start. You'll figure out what to do during, just have this mindset of progression that I keep hammering down on so much. Like, what I'm doing, I need to challenge myself more. There's nothing like just checking off 3 sets of 10 of the same weight each time and just getting bigger and bigger. It doesn't work that way. But I think I've told the entire story, guys. It's quite a long video, and I hope it was interesting and educational on some level. I want to comment if there's anything you want me to do a little shorter video about. But I want to talk about my training style too, because now, of course, I'm talking about some things I did with training, but I do want to talk about my training style, both my goals with my training, but both with the actual practice, what exercises and types, what does it look like? So please, guys, like and comment so I know what you want to see more of, and also just comment anyway. Helps the algorithm, helps more people find their way here, so it's very much appreciated. I do holistic bodybuilding coaching, getting jacked and stacked mentally, physically, spiritually, building the man that manifests a jacked physique as just a consequence of the way he acts in this world. So if you are interested, you can send me a DM on Instagram or email me. It's in the description below, and I'll get back to you, tell you about my different programs. To just support me and my content, you can become a patron or a member of the channel, or just leave a little super thanks comment. It's very much appreciated, guys. Please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys. Just start. You'll figure it out as long as you keep going. Peace.